Good evening or afternoon, wherever you might be. Slight intro there that wasn't expecting. Anyway, just wanted to welcome you today and thank you for joining me again, trying the live thing again. Hopefully, no technical issues as we had last time. Anyway, I am so pleased that you could join me today for my Strictly Healthy show. And of course, this is the show that discusses all things to do with health as well as our mental health, physical health, even business health, we will be discussing at some point. Today, we're looking at our internal health, our soul, and what brings us alive, and how we can cope, especially in the situation that we find ourselves. Things are looking a lot more positive now, which we're really pleased about. And hopefully you are getting some value from this as well. So today I'm very excited because we have a very special guest, Janine Johnson. She is a soul singer. I don't know how she would describe herself, but we'll find out in a minute. But just want to welcome you in, Janine.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me today. Lovely to have you on my program today. And well, we'll get into all aspects about yourself, who you are, and find out a bit more about your past, etc. And I was really hoping we could play some of your music today, but we'll still try and see if technology will help us. So anyway, today I just wanted to welcome you here, and a few questions before we get into it. First of all, I'm asking everybody really how they're coping. First of all, how are you coping in this whole situation? You first, if you could tell me that.
Well, to be honest, I think I'm doing okay now. I think at the beginning, it all felt like a bad dream. You know, you're in a dream, you think, oh, at some point I'm going to wake up and it will just, it won't be true. But as the months went through, you realize that this is real. We are living this, and it's not like going away anytime soon. So
I know. Yeah.
At first I think I was like, all right, I'm just going to make the most of my time because it won't be for long. This is great. I rarely have this much time at home to do so many things. I've got such a big to-do list. I thought, well, let me start getting that done. But, as time goes on, you think, well, I've done that bit of the to-do list. There's still nothing happening, and it does get a bit difficult, especially when I'm someone who does a lot of work in theatres, in front of large audiences. So almost everything that I do, has disappeared overnight. So
yes. So I take it you've been finding alternative
now.
Yeah, good. So you've been finding alternative things, I take it, to be able to possibly get your message out there. I mean, YouTube is a savior, isn't it, for you?
Yes,
I think
YouTube's great. That has been one of the things that I've been doing at my lockdown sessions. And I've been able to collaborate with a lot of musicians that I probably wouldn't have the opportunity to work with because we're all so busy. Everyone's traveling and touring with different artists, and that's so I've had some really top-notch musicians that I've been able to get on board to do things because we're all sitting at home and we just want to be creative. So some beautiful projects have been born out of the pandemic. Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. I think a lot of people are saying that too, that some positive things are coming out of this whole situation, really. And people are finding positive things to apply to this situation, aren't they? Yeah, good. Well, let's regress a little bit. I want to go back and just chat with you a bit about who you are, where you came from, what's your backstory. Can you share that with us?
Okay, well, I'm a singer and an actress. That's about it. I was born in London to Jamaican parents. That's
that's amazing.
Sorry?
I was going to say, when did you find out that you could first sing?
Oh, wow. Since I was a child. I did my first musical at 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where was that?
King and I. It was The King and I.
Where was that? Is that in London or?
In London, at the Lewisham. Theatre. Is it no Catford? Is it Catford? Yeah. The Catford Broadway, the Broadway Theatre, that's the one. I had one line to say. I still remember it to this day. I was 8 and it was like, "Do you like us?" That was it. And so the lady, you know, the lady who looks after children, she says, very much indeed. And then she starts to sing her "Getting to Know You." And I'm just there, you know, sitting and smiling.
Yes.
That was my first ever gig.
Well, we just got a little bit of your voice just now, so which was lovely actually. Oh, I think you could still manage it. I might get it out of you later on. Who knows? Anyway, so at 8 years old, you did this gig with the King and I. Did you sing then, or you just had the one line, or what?
Oh no, we sang.
You sang, yeah. But I mean, just going back a bit, as a child, did your family discover that you could sing, or you discovered you could sing? How did that sort of work?
Well, my family are churchgoers, so you know, you go to church every Sunday, Sunday school. You learn songs, so it was quick. It was very quick for them to see, oh, she liked singing, you know. And then at school, any opportunity there was for me to do something, I would do it, you know. Yeah. And also, in the Pentecostal churches where I grew up, what I grew up in, they tend to, like, if they feel that you've got a gift, they really push you. So, you know, you'll be sitting there trying fidgeting or whatever, and then it will be like, oh, we're going to have a song now from Sister Janine, and you're like, okay, because the spirit, you know what I mean, the spirit leads them to do it, they do it, and you've got to be ready. Whenever God calls, you have to be ready to sing. So you just get used to being ready to do something. You just find a song, you find what's in your heart to say at that moment in time, and that's it. You know, so I've had a good training from a very young age.
Brilliant. Oh, good. Right. So how then did you get from that, you know, say King and I, and then to sort of what's your journey been like so far?
Ooh.
To this point that I mean, you are a professional singer, obviously.
Yes.
How did you sort of get from there to here?
Wow, that is a long story. I'm going to try and resume it really quickly. So
okay, that's fine. We got some time.
I don't know. It's a long story. But so as a child, obviously my parents, they saw that I had aptitude for the arts in general, singing, so dancing, acting. So I did lessons from very young. I did dance classes, tap, ballet, modern. I did drama lessons and piano lessons. I remember going on holiday as a child to Jamaica, and there was a piano in the house that I was at. And I learned to play like 2 nursery rhymes. I think it was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and something else. And as soon as I came home and I showed my parents, they were like, oh, we're going to send her to some piano lessons. Anything that I showed an aptitude for, they were like, well, let's push you in that direction. Let's get you to do that. So that's how it started. And that was up until about 16. Then I kind of left. After GCSEs, I went to 6th form to do A-levels. And there it kind of stopped for a bit. I was just doing A-levels, and then I went on to university to do economics and Spanish, which had nothing to do with music. Music was kind of in the background, but it kind of, you know, it was very much in the background. Once I was in Spain, I had to do 2 years in Spain as part of my degree. And whilst I was in Spain, I started to hang out in some clubs and that, and they had live music. And so I ended up getting involved with different bands and that at the weekends. And that kind of grew for about the next couple of years before I started to realize I finished my degree and I was working in imports and exports and stuff. I was doing nothing to do with music, but the weekends I'd sing in bands and that. And that grew and grew. And it just got to a point where I was like, well, why am I going to work on Monday? And all these other people that I'm working with, they work full time doing the music. So it just, you know, I was like, I have to make a change. I really want to do this. I feel much more fulfilled when I'm doing the singing than when I'm going to work on Monday morning. So then I have to have a strategy for that. Like, so I can't just like all of a sudden say, right, I'm just going to do music. You need to have a plan. So I started to increase the amount of work I was doing. So any holiday time I got, I would use that to do more music. Instead of going on holiday or whatever, I'd do more music. I also applied for different drama schools. and I applied to do a master's in musical theatre. So basically, I got offered. I went and did auditions. I was coming back and forth from England. I didn't want to do them in Spain because, I mean, England's the hub for musical theatre. Why would I stay in Spain? So I came back and forward doing auditions, and I got into 3 different schools, and I chose to go to Guildford School of Acting. So basically, and that took about a year, you know, of that preparation. I remortgaged my flat that I owned in Spain, and I paid for my master's. I came back, and the rest is kind of history. I finished the master's. I ended up getting an agent and starting being put up for acting and singing jobs. And it's just kind of grown from there. But it was a slow process at the start.
So you say it was a slow process. How long did it take you from the time you sort of started to sort of where you became famous, if you like?
Oh, I wouldn't know about that. I don't consider myself to be famous. Maybe in some circles I'm well known, but
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
But I would say approximately from the time you start thinking about what you want to do and it becoming a full-time full-time performer, I would say roughly around 7 years, maybe.
That doesn't seem long to me. Doesn't seem long.
It does to me. I'm a very patient woman, especially when it's like, I know I can sing. I know I'm good at this, you know, and it was like I was starting way behind a lot of people because I'd taken all those years out just doing like my academic stuff. So it was like, I want to move forward, but you have to kind of pay your dues in a way. You start off with a few parts, people start to see that you're really good at what you do, and then they hire you again, and they hire you again, and it's it can be soul destroying at times. I'm still waiting to hear back from some auditions that I've done, you know, last week. So you just never know. But the joy that you get for the gigs that you do get, you know, it's how can I say, it's uncomparable. You just can't imagine, you know, the joy and how good it feels when you're doing what you're meant to do. So it's always worth it, even though it can be a bit stressful.
It's food for the soul, isn't it? When you do something that you enjoy,
you're doing what you love doing.
Yeah. Great. I'm glad to hear it. So, what would you say your greatest gift is? Would you think that it's the singing, or do you think there's another gift in you somewhere that you want to get out? Or?
Well, I think you're constantly learning and growing as a person. So maybe there's other gifts that I'm not aware of that may come out. You know, I think a lot of people during this pandemic have discovered a lot of things about themselves. I've been doing a lot more acting recently. I was acting before.
What have you acted in? that we know of, that we can see and watch.
Really?
Was there anything?
Well, a lot of things are on theatre performances, so not anymore. But I did Blues Brothers. I did The Harder They Come. Do you remember the Jimmy Cliff film?
Yeah.
Well, there was a musical based on that film, and I played a character called Pinky.
Okay.
And Queen.
I'll have to watch that now. And you said the Blues Brothers?
Blues Brothers was a musical that I did as well. And I've done many other things. Last year I was touring with a show called Aretha Respect, where I played the Aretha character, and I was just singing loads of songs and talking about the life of Aretha Franklin. And that was great. I also toured last year and was supposed to tour this year with Ali Ash and Jeanette from Strictly Come Dancing.
Wow.
So that was great. I did last year a show called Remembering the Movies, where I just got to sing loads of great songs from amazing movies, which was wonderful. And this year I was supposed to do Remembering the Oscars. Again, some Oscar-winning songs I was supposed to be singing, but because of COVID, we didn't get to do that. I was rehearsing for it, and I think we went into lockdown on the 17th of March, and I was supposed to start touring with them on the 22nd of March, all the way through until May. So imagine all that working, learning all these routines and singing and songs, and then it's like, no, it's not happening.
Do you think there's any chance that you would be able to get back to some of those things that were
Well,
supposed to happen?
they have said we're going to do it next year, but again, the way things are looking, we're supposed to start end of March next year, and it's very hard, isn't it? Everything's kind of up in the air at the moment. We're pending results, you know, so it depends on how well we see the development.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got a vaccine sort of out there floating around. I'll just segue a little bit. I'm asking sort of everybody, you know, people I come across, you know, whether live or, you know, in person. What do you think of this vaccine? Do you think that it might be? What's your personal opinion, really? I know you're not a medical professional, but just your personal thoughts on it.
Well, in general, I mean, I've had vaccinations in my lifetime since I was a child. You know, I went to Brazil earlier this year to perform, and I had to have the yellow fever jab. I had it; it wasn't a problem. And that I'm a bit concerned about this new vaccine because of the short period of time that they've been developing it. That concerns me a little bit when all the other vaccines that we've had have taken so long. Yes, technology is advancing, science is advancing, and they've put a lot of they've concentrated a lot of time and energy into this. So maybe it's just been an intensive, you know, job. So I don't know. I am still not 100% sure. I do think it's important to have something, you know, and to see how it works. I'm just not sure if I would have given everybody the vaccine straight away rather than do longer testing, because it's like, you know, we might know that they've had no side effects in this period of time, but that's a short period of time to know if there's any side effects. I think we're not going to know whether there's any side effects until years to come, you know, and that concerns me. That concerns me, I think. But then how do we get out of this situation? The economy needs to be built up. We can't all just stay in lockdown for the next couple of years. So I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I think
that's a fair point.
As time goes on, maybe by the end of the year, next year or something, maybe I'll have it. I don't think I'm going to be the first one running up to get it. I'm going to be honest. But also, I think there's other people that are more vulnerable, and I definitely won't be first on the list anyway to get it. So,
if you're not vulnerable now,
I'd like to do a lot more research, see what all different people are saying, and to see whether there've been independent bodies that have got no ties to the government or no reason, you know, to they're not going to benefit in any way from it. I'd like to have some independent evaluations of the vaccine. I'd like to see some of those and see what they say. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, vaccines can be good, and they've been working for people in many years. So I don't see why we won't get to a really good place with it. I just don't know whether they're at that place right now, or whether it's kind of desperation we need to get something out there. Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing.
No, I understand what you're saying. Fair point, and very comprehensive answer, to be honest. You know, I wasn't expecting that much, but hey, I'm pleased that you.
You were important to me. My health is important to me, and that of everybody else around me. You know, it is important. So,
indeed,
you know.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for that. So a couple of other questions here. Just to find out a little bit more about you and your past life as well. Who was a standout person in your life? Who was somebody that sort of helped to guide you throughout life?
Oh wow! Well, I'd say definitely my mom and my gran. There'll be two women that were great influences for me. You know, my gran passed away a few years ago, but my mom still is a great influence. She's a midwife. She's a reverend. She's got such a vocation to serve people, you know, and I've had that growing up. That I've had her as an example. So I would say she's definitely one of my biggest.
And okay, good. And can any of them sing or could sing in the past?
No, not really.
Only anybody else in your family as well can sing. Was there anybody else in your family that can sing?
Yes, my grandma.
Your grandma. Oh, very nice. Very nice. So, what else can you tell us about yourself? It's such like, what's a standout book for you? Was there anything that influenced you?
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've read loads of books over the years and that, but I do remember being in Spain, and I remember picking up a book at my friend's house, and it was, and they said, and it was Conversations with God. And I was like,
Okay.
Conversations with God. And I was like, so I thought, let me pick up that book. And I read it, and it was actually amazing. I think it was Donald, what was his name again? I think I wrote down his name. Donald something. Donald Walsh, that's it, Donald Walsh. And,
What's the premise of the book? What was it
was
about?
a guy he just wrote, he had a conversation with God. He just started to write. It started out, I think he was in a really bad place, no job, a bit like that. And he said he just started to write. And this book just came out of him, like, sort of thing. And it was like he wrote the answers that God gave to him as well. But it just came out in a way that was so fresh. And you'd have to read it, but it was like, I'm sure there was some kind of inspiration at this point. There were moments it was quite funny, but it just really opened my mind and my heart in a way. So many things that you kind of have there ruminating, ideas and thoughts all of your life. And it just kind of seemed to ask the same questions, that I would have asked if I could sit down for a moment,
Yeah, there is plenty of questions that we could certainly ask.
Indeed, could you imagine?
To get some more insight. But my belief is the Bible, so I get my answers from there. But we all have those types of questions, don't we?
Yeah.
It's there. Anyway, good. Well, I mean, we're coming near the end, and somebody did ask a question actually, and the question was, because you're into economics, etc. Or you were before, I think you said.
Yeah.
So, any regrets you have from, maybe a career path you had at one point that you were studying for, and now this musical path you're on? Is there any regrets, or would you have chosen something slightly different?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I think when I chose economics, that was from a place of not really knowing myself very well. It was like I had no one in my family that was an artist. So for me, music was just a natural thing that I just always did, but I never thought about it as in like I can make money from it. So for me, it was you just do your studies, you get your qualifications, and you go out there and you get a job. So that's what I did. But my heart was saying something else, and I'm definitely happier and healthier person since I've started being a professional performer, artist, actress. I do not regret that decision at all. I think when it's your passion, when it's your calling, it's a no-brainer. Even though sometimes it can be difficult, you've got that drive and that, you've got the energy to go forward because it's what you love. There's nothing that can compare to being on that stage and sharing with people, allowing that energy to flow to them, to connect with them. There's nothing better for me than that.
Yeah, great, good. Well, now that you've mentioned that about your passion, the question I was going to ask is, because this is a show about well-being, health, etc., including emotional health. How do you, or what would your tip be for helping yourself emotionally?
Well, I have my own techniques. One of them is definitely going out in nature. I need to go out in nature. I go out for walks almost every day, and that connects me with something more than myself. And you just can't really understand the benefits. Sometimes you're at home like, oh, I can't be bothered, but there's something that you get from just breathing in that air, just listening to the birds, seeing all the trees and the bushes and the flowers. It's just, for me, That is a definite thing. I also try and do like 10 minutes, 15 minutes meditation in the morning, which I think is really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, definitely really good to kind of just center yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And also I think structure, especially in
Yeah.
these times when we've been like with the pandemic. At first I kind of just did whatever I wanted, you know, just like, I'll get up, or I might not get up this time this morning or whatever. But after a while it just seemed all haphazard. But once I got a structure, I said, right, I'm going to get up at this time, I'm going to have these things to do. It didn't make a difference if, you know, one thing took a bit longer and another thing was a bit shorter. But, you know, more or less I had an idea of what my day was going to look like. And that helps me as well. It gives me like that focus. I think that's really good. So structuring your day and being outside. And I'd also say eating healthily. I don't know, a lot of people have kind of put on weight over the over the lockdown period, but I've actually lost weight. Not loads, but because I've kind of like had this structure about what I'm going to eat, when I'm going to eat, going out to do my exercise. It's really been great for me. And as an artist, normally I don't have that time. I'm always rushing around. I'll grab this, grab that. So it's like, right, I'm going to set like, what am I going to cook today? What am I going to do here? When am I going to do my exercise? You know what I mean? I think structure is the key.
That sounds great. Now I want to pick up on something you mentioned. You mentioned about eating healthily. What are some of the things that you might recommend that you, or maybe you've done?
Okay, well, I kind of do a kind of keto diet and the kind of 16-8. So I'll get up in the morning and I won't have anything to eat probably until about like 12 or something like that. I might have a green tea or something like that, but I can go till probably about there before I have it. And then you don't eat, you finish eating, let's say about 9 in the evening, you don't eat again until the next day. So I've been doing that.
Like a Spanish thing.
Low and low carbs as well. I'm not big on like potatoes and rice. I do like my rice coming of Caribbean heritage, but you know, I'll just have a little bit of rice and then make sure there's more veg and meat there than there is rice as well.
Yeah.
That for me. Other people have different kind of bodily structures and can probably have more than me, but I've kind of got that. You know, if I have too much carbs, then it's not good.
I know as women, yes, that tends to be, that tends to be our enemy a lot of the time. Yeah. Great. I'm so pleased. Now, how can people sort of get a hold of you if need be?
I'm on Facebook, Janine Johnson, and I'm also on Twitter and Instagram, Janine Music. It's 2 N's though on Twitter and Instagram, JANNINE Music.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So people can certainly get a hold of you. So I want to thank you for gracing me with your presence today. At all, if we can we get a tiny little bar? Anything? Come on. Just anything.
It's not going to be really good here, you know. I'll say Happy Christmas to everyone. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. There you go.
We got something.
And they can check out my YouTube channel as well, Janine Johnson. And there's loads of music there for you to listen to.
I'm so pleased. Thank you for joining me today. And
no problem.
Hopefully we will keep in touch and possibly have you back on another time.
Okay. So, that'll be wonderful.
Thank you so much. Bye. So that was Janine Johnson. So pleased to have her on the show today. And you heard a little bit of her tips about what she uses to keep herself in check and to feed her soul. And next week, we have another lovely lady coming on who will be talking to us a bit about what's so wrong about bread. Many people think that we shouldn't have bread, it shouldn't have carbs, but sometimes some things are good and helpful for us. So we'll find out a little bit more about that next week. So look forward to you joining me then. Best of everything and have a good week. See you then.